This is going to be, I'm posting this as a video reply, but it's going to be a talk in general about the perception of female sexuality and, you know, slut shaming. It's a reply to a video I saw, but this issue is, you know, it's been going on for a while, and there's lots of videos like this, but I'll address some of the things the original poster said. Look, simply put, when somebody calls somebody a slut, all it is a transfer of information or perceived information about somebody. Slut is a word like calling somebody, you know, short or calling somebody tall. First of all, if I call somebody short, that will be a perception of what short is to me. Just like calling somebody a slut is a perception of what a slut means to somebody else. And just like calling somebody, you know, too short or too tall or something like that can be used as an insult, so can the word slut. And perhaps this is where people have a problem with it, that it is used as an insult by people that don't like somebody. So oftentimes, you know, somebody wouldn't be a slut at all, and they don't do something that would be generally considered as slutty, but they call somebody a slut anyway because, you know, they're pissed off at them. So they use that as an attack. Just like, and you can use anything, you know, you can use too tall, even though being tall is often, you know, a good thing. You can call somebody too tall, and if you're pissed off at them, to try and make them feel bad. And yes, in those cases, you know, the word slut is used. However, a lot of the time, the word slut or, you know, a whore, even the really nasty words, is simply a transfer of information to kind of know a little bit about a woman. So usually women, but also guys. I mean, the slut in the female world is of course player or cheater or whatever, or cheater. But yeah, player or somebody, a guy who gets around. It's the same kind of thing. I don't know if girls, I can't think of a specific word that girls have created, but, you know, I'm sure they can come up with something. Player, probably. Or douchebag. In fact, the word slut could be a good thing for a guy wanting to transfer information to another guy when somebody wants to have sex. So if a guy wants to have sex and you say, look, that chick is a big slut, you know, that's a good thing because it's easier, you know, she obviously likes sex, she's open to sex. And it would be a higher percent, you gotta admit, it will be a higher percent that she'll be wanting to have sex with them. And that's what they want. So a guy wants sex, a woman wants sex, the transfer of information is passed on that this woman likes sex, and the guy transfers his information that he wants to have sex with her, and, you know, shit happens. And the people that talk about how horrible this vilification of women being sluts, the people who talk about this kind of stuff really don't understand this concept of people having specific personal standards. Everybody has different standards of what they want in a partner or what they want in a person they communicate with. And so maybe some people want a girl who's really tall. And I mean, do you think there's anything wrong with it? I'm sure that half the people that talk about slut shaming have their own personal preferences. Whether it probably is looks as well. A lot of it is probably looks, but a lot of it is attitude. And certainly the decision to have sex with a lot of people is a significant you know, reason for people to either choose a partner or not to choose somebody. It's a very valid reason. Now, I personally don't have, you know, it's really is a personal view on what defines what a slut is, and I could go into my own personal view about describing it, but it might take a while. But it's certainly, for me, I know what my limit of what a slut is, and that really tells me if I choose a girl for simply just pleasure and to have a good time with, or somebody who will be a potential long-term relationship. Now, I don't see anything wrong with that, and that is my personal decision to who I choose, and then I leave it up to the women who interact with me to choose whether they choose me or not choose me based on my beliefs about, you know, what I want. So if they see a problem with me having this certain standard about, dating women who haven't slept with, an exorbitant amount of men, so my standards are not as as conservative as perhaps other people. But if women seem to see my choices about the partners I choose to be negative in some way and vilifying, then they simply don't have to date me. It's pretty easy, and but I miss the point where guys or women need to stop having an opinion about somebody if that opinion is expressed based on facts. If you are sleeping with a lot of people, that's something that you're doing, and you gotta when you're doing something like that, you have to understand that people are gonna judge you. It's a fact of life. People are gonna judge you on everything, and some people are gonna judge you on stupid things, and some people might have a little bit of a point, and maybe you should examine yourself. But a lot of people will just judge you on stupid shit. It happens to everybody, and to say that it's vilification, that all of it is vilification, is going a little bit over the top, because people are allowed to have their own personal opinion, and as long as they don't do anything physically to harm you or physically to restrict your actions, so long as it's all consensual and not hurting anybody, I really don't see the issue. If somebody calls you a slut, just call them a prick, or call them a bitch, or call them a snob, or whatever you want to call them, and that should be the end of it. Simple as that. They have an opinion and you have an opinion. Look, in an ideal world, everybody would be able to mind read the other person and figure out exactly what kind of person they are, without simply making judgments on the way they look or certain actions that they take. But look, I love wearing, these shirts and my sweatpants. But if I decided to wear this kind of attire to a job interview, I would expect very fairly for the person hiring me to make certain assumptions about me by the way I'm dressed. And perhaps that would influence his decision. It's like, my parents always say that a person meets you by the way you look, and what is it, leaves, because it's a Russian saying, but basically leaves by the way, by your personality, or stays with you by your personality. So looks are important, and certain actions is like an extension of your looks. Yes, actions certainly won't define wholly how a person is, but I think it's fair to say that actions, when it's factual, of course, because there's cases where a girl may seem like she's not really slutty, but she actually is, and there's cases where a girl might quickly go to bed with a guy or a girl, but really she's very conservative. She just really likes somebody in that point in time, so she couldn't help herself. But in the cases where it's based on factual evidence, I think it's fair to say that you can attribute some kind of attitudes and some kind of personality to that person, and that's what that's how you start to learn about a person, by the actions they take, and looks also have a lot to do with it. I think Dave Chappelle put it best, that if you dress like a whore, yes, certainly it doesn't make you a whore, but you are wearing a whore's uniform. So I really don't blame anybody for making a judgments on anybody else. Of course, unless the judgment is very, very wrong, and then I'll simply just point that out, and But in terms of slut shaming, I really don't see the huge issue that other people seem to see in it, and I really don't think it has a lot to do with the vilification of sex. I love sex, but I have my standards, and every guy does, and most people do. I'm sure women have their standards too of how much sex a guy has, and because they know that if a guy is having lots of sex with lots of women, there's a high chance that they will cheat on them. There's a high chance. Certainly if you had all the information about somebody and you had somebody who's really honestly conservative, chances are they're less likely to cheat on you. I mean, if they're already not having that much sex in general, you know, that's a logical conclusion to make. Even if it's not 100%, it's certainly a high percent of that. So those are kind of my thoughts on the issue, and it's really a basic issue. I really feel that people should be, you know, certainly shouldn't be stopped from judging them. One of the things the post of the video, the angry goth kid, says is that you don't really have a right to vilify her. Well, yeah, like, people can say whatever they want to say. I have every right to say whatever I want. That's my right. I think it's freedom of speech, and, you know, it's certain context, and of course now they're trying to make it less and less, and we're losing the freedom of speech. But I believe that we should be able to say whatever we want, and then, you know, assume the repercussions of it. So if, you know, I call somebody a slut and a lot of people don't agree with it, you know, don't have anything to do with me. It's simple as that. That's how it should work. Not, you don't get to say anything. No, you get to say anything. You get to say anything, and then people have a reaction to what you say.